G'day, I'm Ben from Darwin Games. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the turn-based variant that we're implementing for Eye for an Eye. When we launched Eye for an Eye, heaps of people were super excited about the real-time gameplay and that tense atmosphere of having a time limit on everything. But real-time isn't everyone's bag, so because we want Eye for an Eye to be accessible to everyone, we're introducing a turn-based variant that can be used if you want, or you can play in real-time normally, totally your call. There's not many changes to the game. We've been able to distill it pretty well actually. So come over here, let's have a look at some of these changes. For the turn-based variant, we're breaking down the game into turns, and each turn will have two phases. Okay, you've got a real-time phase and then a turn-based phase. The real-time phase is where you roll the dice, allocate them to your board and cards, and then grab a turn order marker. The turn order markers determine in what order you will resolve your actions. Okay? So this real-time phase consists of you rolling your dice, allocating any of those that you would like, re-rolling the ones that you don't want, allocating any of those that you'd like, and then re-rolling a third time, and allocating all of those because you don't get another re-roll. The only exception is if you roll a dragonfly. The cool thing about these is you can allocate them, and if that means that it readies your card, you can then re-roll it for free. Doesn't count against your 3 rolls at all. The other thing you can do instead of allocating them is to just re-roll them. At the end of your roll phase, so your real-time phase, you might end up with something like this. And then you would quickly grab the order token that you want. I've grabbed the first player one. My opponent might grab the second player one. Once all the order tokens, the player order tokens are grabbed, it then moves into the turn-based phase. Because I've got the first player token, I get to resolve 2 actions first. Okay, so I might choose to do Spear Thrust 2 on the Pasquale. Now in the real-time mode, that would do 2 instant damage. But in the turn-based mode, because of the lack of dice that can be allocated for each round, we're actually introducing a system where if I'm doing Spear Thrust 2 on the Pasquale, I can spend those dice to roll them to do damage. To do damage, I need to be able to roll spears, dragonflies, or eyes. Okay? So if I roll those, and I roll that, that does nothing, that does a hit, okay? If my opponent had any shields allocated, they could then spend that shield to defend. And if they rolled an eye, that would block it. If they rolled a dragonfly, it would block it. And if they rolled an eye, it would block it. If any of those can't be blocked, or if any excess hits go through, just as normal, that player would take any of that excess damage and put it into my victory cup. The only way that automatic hits can be done is if they're unblockable from a tribal card, or if I attack someone through their rear facing. If I attack someone through their rear facing and call Spear Thrust 2 on the Pasquale in that case, it's 2 automatic damage. I don't need to roll for them. So positioning is still really important in this turn-based system. The other big differences are the player boards are going to change slightly for the turn-based mode, which means on one side of the player boards, you're going to have the normal real-time player boards, and then on the other side, you'll have a turn-based mode player board. The big changes there is that everyone only requires now a minimum of 1 shield to activate their defense, and the healing action there will go from 3 to probably 2 for most characters. In terms of the tribal cards, the awesome thing here is that we're finding is we don't need to change any of those at all, other than putting icons to determine whether or not it costs an action or not. So the cool thing about that is that we don't have to provide redundant cards that are essentially the same with a slight tweak to turn-based mode, because they all work in both real-time and turn-based, which is fantastic because then you can learn to play in turn-based and then try out the real-time mode without having to learn all the abilities as well. Or If you love the real time and you want to have a crack at the turn-based, you already know all the abilities. Like, you don't need to learn anything new other than those small changes. That's pretty much the changes for the turn-based mode. For real-time players, we're not taking anything away from you guys. Everything's still going to be the same for you. We're just adding this turn-based variant so that we can broaden the appeal of the game, so that if real-time isn't your bag, this game still can be. If you've got any questions, drop them down below. Shay and I are going to do a playthrough very soon of the turn-based mode, which does take longer than a real-time game of 5 minutes. But it's a different sort of challenge, which is really fun as well. So we'll be able to show you what that looks like. In the meantime, there's a print and play available. We've got the rules changes up for the turn-based mode. So if you want to have a crack at the real-time, have a go at the print and play. If you want to have a go at the turn-based, have a go at the print and play. They're both available to you. We look forward to seeing you guys on Kickstarter soon, and hopefully in the comments section below. But real-time, turn-based, iFor an Eye does it all. So check it out. Cheers, guys.